That's not our vibe. Welcome to the Elemental Tea.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Elemental Tea podcast. Today, we are going to be discussing, it's episode 4. We're going to be discussing sovereignty, illumination, the moon, and self awareness. So, buckle up and let's have our conversation. Who would like to go first? Start with some tea.
Yeah, I gotta get tea.
Right. Gotta have my pinkies up moment.
Mhm.
Well, so we were talking a little bit before we started recording and just talking about so I know we in our last episode we touched a little bit on sovereignty, I think, and but there's just so much, like I feel like we can talk about this like forever.
Mhm.
There's so much that goes into it, and um just having that feeling of also being present and aware, I think is something that we've really been working on like together recently. And it's something very powerful to feel present in like that, like you said, the illumination of being aware of the different energies. And there's so much going on in the world too, but I think when you come down to like yourself and trying to focus on sovereignty for yourself and realizing there's a lot that you have to kind of go through to process just even being aware in your own moment, because we have so much going on in our own lives and then the world, and it can be trying even if you feel like you put in all this work. I feel like my one piece of curly hair keeps trying to go on my eyeball. um I feel
Sovereign
like
hair.
no matter how much work you put in, there's like always something to be there to work on. And it's just like we were just talking about how there's like that cycle, and even if you've worked on something, it's going to come up later. So it's always like revisiting that self and to kind of revisit that level of sovereignty, even if you feel like you've claimed it. It feels like it's something that we're always claiming and reclaiming too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like there's always going to be something that tests your sovereignty or something where you like feel like maybe this felt right before and now it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we kind of forget that. I think some of us can tend to cling on to things as if like that's part of our core identity. And maybe it's just a phase we're going through, like the moon.
Right.
um, yeah, I think sovereignty too is like such a hard thing because, like, I think one thing that people kind of forget is that you can make a choice that maybe isn't the thing you would do for yourself, but you're doing it for somebody else. And that's still sovereign because it's not like, oh, this person forced me to make this choice or made me feel guilty if I didn't do this or whatever. But it's something like I really wanted to do this for them, like even though it means sacrificing something for myself. And I think um people can kind of talk about sovereignty as if it's all for me. It's all, my way or the highway. I'm the fucking queen, and it's so much more than that because if you think about a ruler, right? Like a good ruler, a good person of power, um, not only are they self-possessed, but they're also thinking about the good of their domain, right? And so, like sometimes we are thinking about like, well, what is right for our friends and family? What is right for um, it's not all about me in this world. Like I have to live in this world with other people. And so for me, like sovereignty is kind of like, and this is something I've kind of been working on in therapy too, is that it's like, is this choice in line with my values?
Mm.
And that's kind of what it comes down to. It's not about self-serving. It's not about doing everything I want to do. But it's like, is this in line with my values? Is this bringing me closer to my value of connection? Is this bringing me closer to my value of, honoring nature, for example, and that may require me to do something different that maybe I didn't want to do, but it's like, okay, well, um, this is something that serves my values, my higher self, or my, what's important to me
Yeah,
in the bigger picture.
that's so true.
I'm an astrology girly, so I always like think of like awareness of like the moon in our chart, right? Which is like representative of like our immediate emotional response. And I always think of like the inner child as well, which
Mhm.
I think is always in this space of wanting to feel safe.
Mhm.
And sometimes that need to feel safe can also kind of restrict us from finding sovereignty. So it's like, I think, so important to understand our moon in our charts to kind of really have the awareness of when we're kind of like being our own worst enemy and we're the ones sort of holding ourselves back from taking that next step. And it looks so different. And it's like Nishida said, it's very cyclical. There are times when I'm like, oh, I've definitely learned this lesson. I'm good to go here. And then like a year later, I'm like, oh, here's this again. And it gets easier. I think, Julia, you said a while ago when we were talking that sovereignty takes time. It's a process. And that to me, that feels very like Saturn-like too, where it's like it takes time to sow the seeds. Um, and I think it takes time to give ourselves permission to surrender to the things that we don't have any control over. And I think part of that is sovereignty is like, it's like a mindset thing, but it's also like an acceptance of the things that we can't control. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I feel like that's deeply tied to like our emotional reactions, um, and understanding, why do I feel unsafe right now? All the people in my life right now are making me feel like restricted and I don't feel safe and I don't feel like I have any sovereignty. So how can I take the steps to finding the sovereignty? Well, I got to set boundaries or I got to communicate how I feel or, and it's like an ongoing process, but it's understanding like that emotional reaction that we innately have and kind of like calming the inner child and saying, hey, it's okay. Like, this is okay. We're safe. Let's take the next steps to, you know, stop putting ourselves in the cycle of feeling restricted. So it's like, it's a balance because we do need to, cut the chains off, but sometimes it's also just like, maybe I'm just feeling unsafe because of what's happened to me or because of the things I've experienced. And this is not that situation, but I am safe and you know, I can feel the emotion, but I can also walk through it and take the steps towards freedom and sovereignty, which is like, this is an ongoing process and it gets easier over time. But yeah, that's kind of what it makes me think of.
Yeah, it's so true. I was thinking about how, because I was telling everyone earlier how I feel like I'm going through that right now where I've let something go. I think that was about a year ago or two, something ish. And all of a sudden it came to bite me in the butt. And I think like it takes time and it's not linear. Sovereignty or any healing work or anything you're doing, or like self-discovery or awareness, whatever. Like I feel like it's linear. Sorry, it's not linear. It's like every direction, spiral, I guess. Yeah, it's like it's then, it's now, it's to come, it's all over the place. And um, I feel like what is going on is, okay, I let this go. And I'm living in this new sovereign state of like letting this go. But things have come up in my life that hasn't come up since I've been in this state that now it's like a challenge. So it's almost like every time you set forth on a new way of thinking or letting something go, you have to consider the fact that there's going to be bumps in the road that are going to come that challenge this new way of thinking. And often we can revert back, like, because that's the comfort zone, right? Like, you think about it, our minds have created these systems to help us, like, protect us from whatever trauma or situation you came from. And it's just this programming, and it's really hard to deprogram. So when you say, okay, I'm going to let this go, and you have that mentally and you're going about life, but then this new challenge emerges, and even though you've let this thing go, you subconsciously are still, because your brain doesn't know any other way, right? So even though you left it go, it's still like, well, I'm going to think like this because I know that helped me back when I was 3 years old or whatever. And so it's like having to reconcile the fact that it's not going to be a one and done thing. It's good. You're going to have, and I feel like that's the same thing with grief. You think it's a one and done, like I got over my grief, but I've had situations of people I lost that it came up for me 10 years later randomly. Like I saw a thing that reminded me, and it like just paralyzed me, and I think there is grief in change of self, right? Like if you function often operations, I always think of computers. I think of the subconscious mind, but like I was saying earlier, it's like that running program in the background of, let's say, your phone or your computer that's using up all the battery, and you're like, why is my phone dying all the time? But it's because there's that old running program that you just never got rid of, and it's sucking up all the juice. And it's kind of like that. It's like these old operating systems that have been programmed into us that is still lingering in the background and zapping us, and it's having to get back in there and reconcile with that, and it takes time, and I feel like it's even there's like grief to that because it's something that, even though it was toxic, if it was toxic, um it could be a hard thing to let go because it's a part of you that so well. And it's like that reliable programming that you have, right? Even though it could hurt you. So yeah, I've been having a lot of that self-awareness lately, and the way the moon shines on that dark pit of your soul,
The inner landscape.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Something both of you said, Julia and Veronica, really made me think about how, it's true. Like our brains are very much designed to keep us safe and keep us comfortable. And even if like what's comfortable is total shit, like that's what we're going to seek. And that feeling of like I need to ruminate and I need to second guess myself and I need to constantly dwell in the past or like try to predict the future, like it's really hard because that's what our brains are designed to do, right? Because they're still living in the era of like we have to look for danger everywhere, and now what we are encountering is psychological danger, and our brains don't know the difference. Like they think they're keeping us safe, and it's like you're just keeping me from feeling discomfort. And discomfort is where I'm going to get challenged and I'm going to grow. I mean, it's like we've also for those at home we've been also talking about doing like more movement, and how like that can also be a challenge, when you have been away from that practice for a long time, and how you get your aches and your pains and you get your you get tired or you get this or that, but it's like that's when the growth happens, is when you stretch and when you lift a little heavier or run a little farther, and your body is doing everything it can to say, I don't want to do that, I'd rather sit on the couch. Right. And your brain does the same thing. It's like, I don't want to do that. Like I want to stay where I'm comfortable, even if that's not healthy for me. And being sovereign really involves like, you're not trying to fix yourself. You're not trying to make your brain stop doing that, because you never will. Your brain's always going to do that. That's what it's designed to do. But you have to like, who are you letting run the show? Like, this thought that your brain has, or like what you want, right? So I mean, like, again, it's something I've been working on in therapy, so it's really fresh in my mind. But yeah, that thought of like, okay, I'm having this feeling, do I need to act on this feeling, or
Yeah.
is it just my brain trying to protect me and I'm really okay, I'm safe? And so
Yeah.
yeah, I really have been getting in the habit of like thanking my brain. Thank you, brain, for trying to keep me safe by, having me try to people please with my partner. And guess what he wants, when, like, he is actually very kind and I don't have to worry about anticipating his every need because he's a grown ass man and will tell me what he wants. You know what I mean? Like, thank you, brain. I don't need to worry about this anymore. Like, I'm not in this position anymore, but because my brain is used to that kind of a situation, my brain wants to tell me, like, you need to anticipate, you need to jump ahead, you need to worry about what they want, you need to dress how they want, act like they want, do the things they want to do, and it's like, I am not, like, I don't have those kind of people in my life anymore. I have people in my life now that want me to be happy and want me to be fulfilled and do the things that I want to do. And that's really fucking hard, because my brain is like, no, no, it's not safe to do the things you want to do. You're going to be told you're selfish. You're going to be pushed away. You're going to be abandoned. You're going to be left. And, thinking about witchcraft and sovereignty, it's like, how much personal power do you have in your magic if you're constantly giving it away to other people?
Yes. Yes.
So good.
Pinkies up on that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That was good.
But like, speaking of that, like healing, I know we've had a lot of conversations around shadow work and how like layered it is and how it's not just like one thing. So like, how do y'all see shadow work right now in your lives? Because I feel like it changes and it's
Yes,
different.
I think so. I think it changes with like the cycles of the seasons, honestly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think for me right now, just because we have been focusing on like movement, the shadow that I am facing is finding the balance of like wanting to set a goal for myself, like because we talked about this, I want to get snatched. Um, like, you know, that's important to me, but like, how can I do that in a healthy way that is not triggering to my past eating disorders, which trigger warning for eating disorders. But yeah, that was something that I suffered from in the past, and I want to approach this in a way that is cautious of that, but also in a way that gives myself permission to say, hey, I want to feel confident in my body. I want to, look a certain way, and that's okay too. And so I think that's kind of where I'm teeter-tottering right now is, when am I being too obsessive about this and too structured and like possessive, or I would even say like perfectionistic, because sometimes it's even just about like feeling guilty if I can't get any movement in. And that is a normal thing. Last week I suffered from an injury, and I was very humbling. It was very humbling because I just wanted to like work out and like do the things, but it was like my shoulder was like, no, it's time for rest. This is not the cycle for the movement. This is the cycle for resting. And I had to like be with that. It was like my own little winter moment. And so yeah, that is the shadow that I am walking with right now. What about y'all?
Well, first, I just want to say that I'm very thankful that we as a group are very much like, yes, please rest. And not like, what? You didn't work out today? What the hell? Like, no
Yeah,
pain,
that's
no
all
gain.
internal.
Yeah. But yeah, for me, I think like I'm very much in like a bright shadow moment where it's like I am scared. And this is something that comes up with me a lot, like as a former gifted kid. I'm scared of like showing my talents. I'm scared of being seen. Like this podcast, like I'm like, oh shit, I'm putting myself out there. People are gonna know who I am. People are gonna like make mean comments. I hope not, but like it's just that thought of like being seen and like being scared. And then like I know we've talked about how we have like this community that we're in, which is of the dirt road. I've been planning like for like 6 months, like since we started, I've been planning on like writing an article about like how to sense and move energy. And for whatever reason, like I'm really struggling with it because I'm like, this isn't going to be thorough enough, or it's going to be too thorough, or it's going to be like not the right thing. And I think some of that is from past trauma from a previous community that we were all in. But I think some of it is just who I am in general, like not wanting to be the person who thinks, like I have never thought that I'm better, like, than other people in the room. I've never been like I'm smarter than you, therefore I'm better than you, or I know more than you do about this, therefore I'm better than you, or even to think like I am the person who knows the most about this, right? Like I'm not that person because I know like for me, there's always more that I can learn. And I'm a very curious person by nature. So I'm never going to feel like I know everything. And so all of that being said, like I think there's a part of me that's like, what right do I have? Like I have this programming, what right do I have? What right do I have? And I think some of that comes from like I was in a very weird position as a gifted kid because like I kind of went to like I went to like the poorest school in the district. And I grew up in a suburb of Portland, Oregon. So we had like tech here. Like a lot of people in the richer neighborhoods, their parents worked for like Tektronix or Hewlett Packard. Now there's Intel, but that wasn't there yet. And so the school I went to, like people's parents were blue collar or, farmers, things like that. And so like it was just a very different kind of vibe. And I was the only kid for the longest time from my school that went to this gifted program because they kind of like had all the kids from the school from different schools, like each grade had a different day that they would go to like the gifted program once a week. And so I felt very intimidated at this place because there were all these kids whose parents like they lived in this like world of like we are all intellectual, and my parents were very smart, but they just didn't have that. They grew up poor too, so it was like this whole like they didn't have like a higher education, or they didn't have like this family that fostered like you should be reading, or you should be studying, or you should try to get good grades. It was like, oh, we're just thankful that you graduated from high school, kind of deal. So I felt very intimidated. I felt like I didn't belong. And then when I was back at my home school, I felt like I was too fucking smart for them. Not that I thought that, but that they thought that about me. And so then it was like I felt like they were always teasing me, always trying to bring me down, always trying to bring me down to their level because they thought I was too good for them, which I didn't at all, So I think there's this very deep seated thing about like feeling like I can't just be myself, and I can't, like, I'm not an expert enough. I'm not smart enough, but then I don't want to be too smart because I want to still fit in, and belong. And so for me, like there's a lot of like kind of overlap between the sovereignty and the shadow work, right? Because it is owning those parts of myself and being who I am, like it's putting on the fake fur vest and the makeup to come to my podcast today and saying, because this makes me happy and I don't care who thinks I look weird or whatever. And like yeah, I mean, I think like that's just really been a struggle for me my whole life, to be seen for who I am, and to let myself be the expert, and let myself be the smart person, and let myself be the person who has the knowledge, because I'm always afraid there's going to be somebody who's going to be like, you don't know shit. Who are you to say this? Or, oh, you think you're better than we are. Why are you acting like that? when, like that's not who I am at all. Like to me, I'm just like, I'm curious. I'm excited to share what I know. Like I want other people to be on my level. Like I think other people are already on my level and above my level. Like I just want us all to like learn together and become better people together and become like strong, powerful witches together. Like I get really excited about this shit. You know what I mean? And but then it's like so hard because that shadow pops up and it's like, no, you don't. You don't want to talk about this. You don't want, like people are going to say shit in the comments. They're going to be like, what are you talking about? That's wrong. That's not right. Da, 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 da. And it's like, it's such a weird place to be because it's like on one hand I'm like this excited little kid, like look what I have, look what I found, I have this cool rock, you want to see it? And then on the other hand I'm like, they're gonna make fun of my rock. you know so yeah, I think that's a big part of my sovereignty work right now, for sure.
A whole lot of projection from other people, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, like I have, I get that because I struggle with that a lot. I've been like a people pleaser or a masker because I'm like autistic. So I've always been told by my dad to act a certain way. And one of the hardest things for me is eye contact. Like
Mm-hmm.
people are always weirded out from me when I start like trailing off and they're like, "Oh, you must be lying." I'm like, "I just can't look at your eyes. I'm sorry." But there's like so many things, like trying to hide stimming or trying to like there's so many things. Like if you see me doing this, it's probably me stimming, it's so hard to hide it or my legs going. Um, but I just learned to be a people pleaser and always give all the place to people because then they won't notice me. And so I'm getting better with not people pleasing, but then so every time I find you kind of lift away the veil of something that's kind of getting in the way, you realize there's another layer underneath.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, so when you were talking about being perceived, that's a hard thing for me to be perceived. So how that looks for me is every time, when everyone's like, okay, let's say I do this big project and it's a complete success and I ran the whole project. Whenever people compliment it, I want to hear like, wow, that project was amazing and everyone worked so hard. I'm like, yes, that's what I want to hear. But if they say you did such a good job running this project, I'm like, no, don't do that to me. Please don't do that to me. Like I can't take it. And I always get super awkward. Like I'll look down like, I just don't know how to take it. And I'm trying to just be thank you, but then it's always so robotic coming out of me. I'm like, thank you. And then walk off. And I'll just literally walk
I'm
off.
terrified, but thanks.
My face will go beet red. I'm like, thank you very much. I won't even say why I'm leaving. And
Right.
people are like, why did she go? It's so hard for me. Like, and I guess like it just because it comes with a whole responsibility. Like, how did you do it? What's your secret? Or blah, blah, blah. And then so it's like, I fear like, oh, but they don't know how much I fucked up in the background as I was doing the project and how much I rely on other people. And it was a collaboration and it's not just me. And so that scares me. I'm like, I don't want to be put on the spot. And I'm not good at, and I don't know if it's a self-worth problem or if it's just uh like, or maybe I'm just genuinely feel like it's collaborative. It's hard for me to take on that whole responsibility and weight of taking all the credit for something. Like that's kind of hard for me too, because even if I was like own this massive corporation and I was the CEO, I just feel like if someone said to me, "Oh, you're so amazing," like, am I though? Because you're hiring your accountants, you're hiring like, you got all your staff, you got your secretaries, you got like the workers, you got the people buying your product, you got your sales team. Like, I just don't feel like it's a one person pony show. It takes a whole village. So, like, there's a part of it that's that for me. I don't feel like I have the full responsibility of something. And I guess if you're in a project management role, yes, technically you do. Like, you got to make sure all those things are running. But the thing is like, I have people that are making sure I'm on track of keeping track. Like, it's not just me, Like there's people like, Julia, you remember that thing, right? I'm like, oh yeah, thanks. It's just, and we all do it, and like those people will forget something and I'll remind them. So I just have a hard time to take full credit. Like I think on ethical level, it doesn't feel right for me.
Mhm.
But also I think I don't like to be overly perceived. I feel like there's such a weight and responsibility to that. And I don't know if it's me copping out from that weight and responsibility of taking that. I don't know. But I'm still working on that. I'm still working on that whole thing. Like even when people are like, "Oh, you raised your kids so well and you're such a great parent." I'm like, it's not just me. Like there's a lot involved. There's my kids' own sovereignty and how they figure their own things out. There's teachers, there's partner, like friends, like it's the whole thing. I don't know. It's so when you were talking about that, it's like, oh, I feel that in my own way. And then like Veronica, when you were discussing the like us doing the body work, and I like it because the whole point of our little motivating each other situation is kind of about learning to have more self-awareness of ourselves and our bodies and what we need and when we're pushing it too much and when like the psychological feedback,
Yeah.
it's like a feedback loop that we can get stuck in. And so it's almost like this interesting, we're going through this, I don't know if you want to call it experimentation or like education, our own personal like we're learning about ourselves. And so it's scary territory. And so Veronica, when you were saying the thing, I the first thing I thought about is I feel like I'm like a pendulum that doesn't know how to swing in the middle. Like I'll either go way out that way or way out that way. And it's either I
Very
don't do
sense.
enough or I push way too hard and I have a
Yes.
hard time to be in the middle.
Mhm.
So I'm scared sometimes when I go into like movement work because I push really hard and just no sympathy for myself and no compassion. And I'm just really trying to get through that. And it's bringing, like I was talking with everyone, it's bringing up fear because I've had a long history of like body dysmorphia and eating disorders. And I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. And there's like this fear of going back. And yeah, so it's like it's having to face that scary part that I've and then once again we're talking about that shadow work that, oh, I thought I was okay, but then you realize when you touch on something, you
Mhm.
realize like, oh no, like May, you were saying, right? Like it's always going to be there and it's just like, do you address it or not? Do you give it like do you let it take control? So I don't know, this is really lighting up for me, illuminating for me.
Yeah. I just have to say real quickly, like I'm with you on this is a shared thing. Like even if it's something that I completely did from A to Z, I'm like, but I couldn't do this if like I didn't have a partner who took care of the house for me so that I had time to do this or whatever. And then the thing about the responsibility, oh my God, yes. I am terrified of succeeding because I don't know about you all, and honestly, I think it's worse than the federal government because I feel like every time I've worked for the government, this has happened. It's like, oh shit, you are really good at this. Here's some more shit to do.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm like,
Generator.
oh my God, I'm barely hanging on with the shit that you just gave me to do. But then I also like to learn things. So I'm like, yeah, I'll go ahead and do that because I'm learning something new. You fucking ADHD. Um, so yeah.
Yes, it's so
I
true. It's like shit.
I just had to jump in and say that real quick because I mean that just was like, oh yeah, that is definitely. I mean, I actually just journaled about that shit like not too long ago. So
My mom has this funny saying where she's like, you can't be too good at your job. Like, you have to kind of suck at your job. Otherwise, you just get rewarded with more work. And I was like, that's actually really insightful, mom.
It's
But
so hard for me to
yeah.
do that because I'm
But
so enthusiastic. Like I
right.
love
And you want to
to
do a
do it.
good job. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, yeah.
and
I
it goes
wanted
back
to
to the
say
people
something though
pleasing.
that I've thought a little bit about the getting a compliment because that's always going to be really difficult for me. But especially in the context of you taking credit for like a big kind of group effort, sometimes I feel like that's a form of a projection from a person of like you did all of this. And I think it's innocent and it's really like subconscious, but I have to remember that because like if you do take the compliment, then you're like, I did all of the work, and then causes problems down the road. But then like if you don't, then they're just like, I never take compliments. So it's like I have to remember like projections aren't always like negative. Sometimes they can be positive too, of like this person perceives me in this way. And it's like, that's really kind of you. But like it was a group effort, and but thank you. I did this, and then that like my you know, friends or whomever helped me do these things, and like naming the things that I actually did and including the group always like kind of helps me like I'm gonna accept that, but I'm also like gonna give my peeps, you know, credit too. So then it's like, okay, now we're all good. So it's almost like people are like sending you energy with like, you did everything awesome. And you're like, no. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Yeah. It's like,
It's
yeah.
thank you, but
totally
stop
that.
it.
Right.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's almost like ojo, but like positive ojo. I don't know if
Right,
that
positive. Oh, yes.
does that make sense? Like
Yes, it does.
okay.
You're like,
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, I am totally with all of you on that. And it's yeah, it's a thing. And I do the same thing to Veronica. I'm like, oh thanks, because I have worked really hard on not being like, oh well, it's not just doing that thing. But then now I'm like, oh my God, especially now that I do have a very supportive husband and everything, now I'm like, yes, I can say yes, thank you, I appreciate that. But also here's a da da da. And that does make me feel better too. And something else I wanted to bring up, not to be like a downer, but I think the four of us have been through quite a bit of getting our work as someone taking else credit for our work. Let's just say that.
Mhm.
And so we've, yes,
right.
we have definitely been in that position where we bust our asses on stuff and then it's just taken and used. And so I think when that happens a lot, it's kind of like, at least for me, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but there's like a part of me where I'm like, oh, well, maybe that was just a lesson I needed to learn, or maybe there was so much more that I didn't realize. And then I start minimizing my achievements and then start feeling like, oh, well, I guess I wouldn't have been able to do that if this person who just took credit for my stuff, didn't do this for me. And so I start having all these things. And, and so I think we've all been through that as well. So I think acknowledging that, at least for me, acknowledging that and being like, no, that was mine. And I deserve some credit for that. So yes, yes, thank you. And you're welcome for for giving you all that information that I just gave you. And like you said, May, like I think we're all at the point where it's like, yeah, we all know our shit. We all know everything and we can be sovereign. We can be aware and be, you know, just acknowledging the fact that we can do the things. And I think that when that is constantly being taken away from you for a while, it can be hard to stand in that sovereignty too. So I just want
Yeah.
to point that out also.
And it's so ironic that that person talked a lot about sovereignty and then took a lot of sovereignty from us.
Yep.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
double pinky that bitch again.
But and it really goes to the theme of this podcast episode too, though, because it took us a while to have the awareness of what was happening to us because we cared. I think each of us cared so much about the bigger picture of like what we were doing, how we donated our time and our energy and our ideas and perspectives. And then it took us the awareness of like, wait a minute. And it's like you said, Nishita, that is mine. And that like, oof, that's so powerful to like be able to take the ownership of like and the awareness of like that is my idea that I created.
We
And
did this.
Yeah,
We did this.
he did
Or I
this.
did this. Yeah.
Um, and that was tough. It was a tough lesson. And I think of the moon card because it's like that card can like be intuition, but it can also be very illusionistic.
Mhm.
The very last messages I received while we were there was see past the illusion. And I was just like, what? What? But then, like we knew it just took us a while. And I think there was a lot of inner child stuff that we were all individually facing. Because I know for me, it was like, I definitely resonated with what you said, May, with like the bright shadow of like, oh, I don't know this. Like, I need someone to tell me what to do. Like, I'm not allowed to be the expert. I have to be like beneath the expert. And I don't know everything. And just taking like the sovereignty to know my worth and outside of it, you know. Um, but yeah, that's so important, Nishita. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Mhm.
Yeah. We are recording this just before a new moon. A new moon will be tonight, in a few hours. And so technically it's still the dark moon. And one of the cards, like I had been drawing cards after like this self-blessing practice that I've been doing. And I don't know if y'all are doing it as well. It's something that we've been doing in the, or that was suggested in our, Witches of the Dirt Road community. But I've been drawing cards after that. And one of the questions I asked was like, what do I need to let go of in order to move forward, like into my own sovereignty, into my own boundaries, into my own power? And one of the cards I drew was from the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck, and it was the Mentor.
Mhm.
And I thought that was really interesting because at first, like I saw it as myself because I have done a lot of mentoring, like in my job and in witchcraft and in other things, and which is ironic because I'm like I have been a mentor professionally for
Yeah.
years now. Like I am paid to mentor other people. Like still, I'm paid to mentor other people, and I don't see myself as an expert, but like I realized what it was let go of the need for a mentor. Like now you are working with peers.
Yeah.
Like you are working with peers. You do not need somebody to mentor you. You do not need somebody to tell you how to do your shit or how to do your article, for example, how to do your like if you want to like start offering readings on coffee, like you can do that, like nobody is there to like tell you how to do your shit, you know what I'm saying, like because you don't need it anymore, you're cut free, go fly little birdie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and it was just, yeah, like you said, Veronica, it was like holy shit, like I can still, I mean, like I have said before, like I've been doing this shit for over 30 years. Why am I still looking for a mentor? I will never know everything. I will always be learning from people, whether they're, new or older or, whatever they are, or, they've been doing this for longer than I have, or they're brand new. I can always learn something from somebody, but that doesn't mean I need an expert to guide me.
Mhm.
So I think that was really, yeah, it was a little earth shattering, honestly. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Way to call me out, cards.
That's why I love Veronica's term, fuck around and find out witchcraft.
Let's do it.
It's so good. I love it.
We were talking about that too, right? Like
Yeah. We're
even in
gonna
the
get
witchcraft
messy.
sense. Yeah, like there's so many absolutes in witchcraft, which I get there are like a lot of safeguards. And then like, yeah, there are things that make sense, but I do feel like, especially in beginner spaces, those mentors are always like, don't do this, or
Mhm.
do this, or
Yeah.
do this a certain way, or this does not count if you do things online. And it's just like, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me, because every witch is so individualized, and how can we say that? And I also feel like when people try to like argue with you, and it kind of goes to May, what you were saying, where it was like someone tries to like one up you in their knowledge, where they're the well actually type of people.
Mm-hmm.
For the gatekeeping.
I learned this way, or I was taught this way. And that's like, well, that's awesome. Like, good for you. Like, I'm glad that you learned it that way. But like, I do it this way. And that's okay. Like,
Right.
And
I
if you're
love
not
it
X,
when
Y, or
something
Z,
works for somebody.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, those people, it's like if you're not X, Y, and Z, then this is not for you. Like you can't.
Oh,
right.
Mhm.
I'm like, well, what if you need to get fucked to find out? Like, what if you need to screw up? Like, what if
Right.
you need,
Exactly.
you know?
That's how I've always learned. I'm very stubborn. Like, I mean, I can remember conversations with my father, and it was just like, yeah, okay, don't listen to me. I don't know shit. I'm just your dumb old dad. And then, it'd be like, go ahead, go do your thing. And then I'd be like, okay, yeah, I fucked up. Yeah, you did. You did, And it's so funny because
or
my kid is just like that. Like, sometimes like I hear like the tone in his voice and I'm just like, mm-hmm, okay, go do your thing then. Like,
Go find out.
I'm tired. I'm old and tired. I'm not having this conversation. Please continue with your life. And then you can come back to me later when you have found out. Like,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And there is this witch I know from Blue Sky. I actually met her in person at the conference I taught at in May. Alethea, and she also taught a workshop there called Witching, and her thing is Witching for a Warmer Planet. And she writes on Substack. And I want to say in like April, she wrote this amazing article about like using your book of shadows as like a lab notebook, which as
That's
somebody
good.
who like majored
Yeah.
in biochem, like I love that because
Mm.
it's like I'm really shitty about it. Don't get me wrong. I'm so bad about writing things down. Like I'll journal things like, oh, I felt like this or I felt like that. But I don't say, oh, I used, like this herb and that herb and these quantities or proportions or whatever. I'm so terrible. Or this color candle. I'm terrible about that shit. Like I'll write down like the moon phase and sign and like how I felt, like,
Yeah.
and kind of what I did. But it's like it's so important because that is how we learn, like even if you go through like a training program, like you're still going to have to kind of find what works for you within that. Like you can go through a training program that tells you step by step, do it this way, do it that way, do it this way. And then you're like, okay, this doesn't work for me. Like, how do I make it work for me?
Yeah.
Like I did it like this during the training program and I'm glad I had that experience, but I didn't quite get there. So how can I get there? And I think like that's that second step, that is like the witchcraft 201, right? That a lot of
Yeah.
people don't get to because they still keep I mean, and I don't get me wrong, again, we all know if you've been with the podcast, you know that this bitch has a lot of books and shit. um so you're always buying like the new book, you're always buying like this is the book that's going to teach me what I need to know to make my witchcraft work, or this is the book that's going to do it for me, this is the book that's going to speak to me. And the truth is that there's never going to be one book, one teacher. I mean, and if there is, oh, well, you are a lucky son of a bitch. But if you, most of us, we're not going to find one path, one teacher, one book, one way of doing witchcraft that's going to be like, this clicks for me. This answers all of my questions. Now I know what to do. Right. And so, how do we find out what we want to do? Well, we fuck around.
Right.
And like that's the beauty, May, because you did all that work and you got all the information. And like I really do believe there is power in something being done over and over and over the centuries. Like it becomes its own entity, like in my
Yes.
opinion.
Yeah.
It's its own spirit. And there's power in that, like no denying it.
Mm-hmm.
But does it mean it's going to mesh with you? Is it a power you need? Maybe, maybe not. Right? Like it's not the end all be all. And like that's the thing. Like you did all the lessons. Now you can break the rules, you can adjust, you can change what works for you. So it's like we're not saying don't look at that, do it, but does it mean you need to live by that? Strictly like have a chokehold on it and like you can't get out. I just feel like, everything, it's just like you're a big sponge and learning stuff. And you have to like, I just feel like you can get in a dangerous place in terms, when I say danger, I mean like imprisoning yourself. And then we were just saying that, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
being your own jail
Mm-hmm.
and not being sovereign in the sense that you take on every dogmatic thing and not allow yourself the flexibility to try, and maybe you try it for a bit and maybe you change it a bit or maybe you adhere to it and it's like it gels with you, and maybe certain things don't. Maybe you don't do any of it at all because it doesn't gel with you, and you just shift it to your own. Like there's so many ways about it. Like, and I think that's the point of witchcraft. Like I think it's something that you're manipulating.
Mhm.
You're manipulating your life. You're manipulating the world around you. Like we have, when you think of like physics and how, the whole, like, what is it called? The slit test. I forgot what it's
Oh yeah,
called, but
that's like, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
like when something's observed, like
Mhm.
perceived, and it will
Mhm.
adjust and organize itself. It's kind of
Mhm.
like us, right? Like
Mhm.
we can adjust the world around us. And so it depends on you how you want to go about it. Like if you want to go hardcore Wiccan, go for it, but doesn't mean you have to stay that way forever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe you say take certain elements of it and, like, the world is your oyster. Do what you want. It's just like don't let other people force you into anything. Like take everything with a grain of salt. And if it works, keep it. If it doesn't, don't. Like, but don't beat yourself over the head. And yeah, I just like that's like one thing I would impart to anyone who's going on this journey. Like, be kind to yourself. And you know way more than you think.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You know
Yeah.
so much. And just fucking trust yourself from the get-go. Just
Mhm.
learn to trust your instincts. And like, I mean, just that work alone of listening to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
just that's like a witchcraft. That's like, to me, advanced shit. Like learning to listen to yourself and listen to the world around you. You could do
Mm-hmm.
like years of work on just that alone, you
Yeah.
know.
I really appreciate that, Julia, because that's kind of something for like my current time shadow work is so I've always been told by mentors and people that I work with for a long time that I have it's not even that it's balance. I wouldn't say balance at all time, but I have the ability to go into the very dark and to the very light, but also find like a liminal balance for myself. But I don't have to be like adjusting to make sure that it's always balanced. So I can go like all dark, I can go all light and whatever, but in the past, every time that I feel like I have gone to like dabble in anything darker, in magic, because outside of that everyone's like, oh, that girl dances like scary music and her pole dancing and like the dark stuff is fine, vampires, witches, all that, but when it comes to me doing my actual magic and spell work and everything, every time I would go into that and then something would happen, I'd be like, oh, this is happening because I'm not fully ready yet. I still have to make sure I'm aligned, or I know how to shield, or I know how to do this, and then that, and over and over. And then I like block myself from even being able to go back to that. And then I restart and then I do it again. And then I restart and then I do it again. And that has like just constantly happened in my life. And um recently I had a connection and experience with like darker, I guess, like deity, and it's was definitely like the message that I got was like stop like getting in your way and you're ready. Like you've been ready, just do the thing. And so like embracing that dark and still acknowledging that illumination. So it's like the illumination and the darkness and the awareness, and that I'm present enough in myself that I can move forward into these things. Um, so that's kind of where I'm at with the shadow work. And so everything you guys were all just saying kind of like was an extra like, whoo, you got this, go for it,
Mhm.
kind of thing. So I love that you all just said all of that. That really, even though we've been talking about this and I'm fully like ready to go and everything, it's still nice to hear like these things. So I really appreciate it.
I just want to touch more on that because I think that like shadow work or anything shadowy or dark is so perceived with so much fear. And that is like largely projected into the witchcraft space. I don't know. The other day I was like in a conference type meeting thing and I was talking about like giving hair as an offering, which has always just been something that feels natural to me. And they were like, well, you want to be careful with that because like hair is like you can get tied and da 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 da. And like there was like so many there's so much fear that I felt that came up with that. And I was just like, damn, that's like not anything that I ever thought about, right? Fuck around and find out witchcraft. And maybe something has happened and I don't want to like deny it, but I'm just like, I think that there's a lot of fear that is projected onto people. And that stops us from going deeper in our shadow work or going deeper with the darker things. Because the darker things, Julia, you were talking about this earlier, sometimes help us connect deeper into more healing and creativity and like all sorts of stuff. And yeah, like I think the safeguards are important, but I do wish that there was more an openness towards the darker things because I wonder for that myself is like how many times have I stopped myself from, learning something new or healing something or integrating something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think some of that comes from Christianity, honestly.
Mm.
Superstitions are everywhere, right? I mean, every culture, but like, I think a lot of that, like, avoid the dark, avoid this, avoid that, don't let this happen to you, don't let that happen to you. Like, I think some of it, is project, people just like hang on to it. I don't know. I mean, again, I've said this before, if you follow the podcast, like I wasn't raised Christian. So it's kind of like some of these things I feel like I'm seeing from the inside out, which makes it a little bit easier to make the connection. Right. But like, I think there are a lot of people who never really leave that shit behind when they come to witchcraft and they carry it with them. And like, I think we were talking about this the other day because I was thinking about how when I remember my first chemistry lab class, right? And it's like we had to watch this video, and this video, I mean, it was kind of silly. There's like this one part where like they're talking about using the chemical shower, right? Like if you get chemicals spilled on you. And it's so funny because like in the video, like the person is off screen using like the shower, but it's like they hand their clothes to like this other, like college age kid, young kid, and he's kind of like standing there and it looks like he's like creepily looking, at the person taking the shower, which probably he was just looking at them because, it's natural to look at somebody that's, off camera or whatever. But like, we always laughed about it. But that being said, like they would talk about all these terrible things that could happen to you in the lab if you weren't careful. Did it make me terrified to go to the lab? No, because I was like, I'm just going to put on my goggles and my, lab coat, and I'm going to use my fume hood, and I'm going to, be careful with my Bunsen burner. And you know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, because I've got my awareness and I've got my, my shielding, right? Like I've got my knowledge that I need to keep myself relatively safe. Can shit still happen in the lab? Yes. Like, you know what I mean? And that's why we have showers and eye baths and like, like that's why you have baking soda or whatever, So, I mean, I think like going back, I mean, I really, and again, maybe it is because of my background or because I've always been kind of a naturally curious person, but like, I do really think like, yeah, of course, like I'm not just willy-nilly like whatever the fuck, with my witchcraft, but at the same time, it's like, I'm not terrified either. And that fear, like like you were saying, Veronica, like it makes me so sad that so many people carry that fear with them, that fear of doing this work or fear of doing that, or fear of, just doing something that feels natural to them. Right. Because, oh gosh, what if somebody like takes that hair and like does a work against me or like, tags me in something or whatever. And shit, yeah, it can happen, but like then that's taking away something that's beautiful and precious to you, right? And then the other thing I kind of wanted to just touch on really quickly is something that, Julia was saying earlier, with how, you can just trust yourself. Right. And I always like, I mean, like another analogy is like my kids learning to drive now. And I'm kind of like, well, you need to learn the rules right now. And then you'll learn like when it's safe to kind of break them, like when it's safe to speed, when it's safe to, run that red or, whatever. Right. But like the same kind of thing in witchcraft, of course, like it's good to learn kind of the rules or learn, like how shit works, right? Like on a broad scale, and then kind of work within that or break those rules if that's what makes it more meaningful to you. But I think like the thing that came to me while you were talking, Julia, was how I think there are a lot of especially newer witches out there who like take the classes or do the things in the book or, watch the YouTube videos or the TikToks or whatever. And then they do the thing and it doesn't work, or it doesn't work like they expected, or it doesn't feel like they're not feeling it in themselves. And then they think, I'm a bad witch. I'm not good at this. And it's like, no, it's just that thing didn't work for you. Like, find something else that will work for you. There's a lot of
Or
stuff
they
out
they did the thing without the energy aspect.
there. That
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Like
Like they're
there's
just
so
going through
much
the
about just the intention and the energy you put into something. Like I could take all the ingredients and
Mhm.
do the chant and do the whole thing, but if my mind, intention, and like energy I put into it is not there, you're just cooking a regular meal. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you're not,
So true.
yeah, it's like a whole different thing.
yeah. You have to like believe it's possible.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like that's a big part of it too. Like, and I think I want to say Aiden Wachter mentions that in his Changeling book, like in order to do effective witchcraft, you have to believe it's possible to do the thing. Like you have to believe that the thing that you're doing is possible from what you're doing.
And it might not show up for a long time.
Mm.
Right.
You
Yeah.
might not even be ready for that, or you were, and it came hard, and you didn't realize it.
Mhm.
And the be careful what you wish for.
Right.
Mhm.
Like it didn't show up how you expected, but it came anyway, like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
It's so good, May. It's so true.
And it's so true too. Like we were talking, so like just a quick recap for everyone listening too. Like we have talked fun conversations about aliens and things like that, and like remote viewing and stuff like that. And one of the things that I have heard a lot with the research on that is the people that are the most successful at it are the ones who go with their intuition.
Mm.
And, obviously there's that line of imagination and all of that, but when this is a practice that you've done a lot, your intuition, what your gut feeling is, if you go with that and you put the energy of that, then that's usually what will work. And I know for me, like when I do readings and things for clients, a lot of times I'm already saying the thing before I'm even turning the card over. And like the card helps my clients see what I'm trying to say, like the visuals on it. But it really is this thing about learning to believe in yourself and trust in yourself. And if that is there and you put that energy to it, it's probably gonna be a nice magical working for you too.
Yeah. And I think imagination is important to witchcraft as well.
Mhm.
Because, and I feel like we've said this before, but it's like, I know a lot of people doubt themselves because they're like, I'm just imagining this. I'm just imagining these feelings or this message or this or that I'm getting. And it's like, so what? Like
Great.
all of the things that are created in this world began as somebody's imagination.
Yeah.
So that doesn't, imagination may not be real yet,
Mm-hmm.
that it could be real later. And I don't know, like we've also talked about like the whole space and time thing, right? Like how and then I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast, but we definitely talked about it amongst ourselves. Like for me, I have shamanic training, and that's definitely part of shamanic,
Right.
thinking is that you are in this space in the other worlds, right? Where you like time and space are whatever you want it to be. Like, so I can create a ritual online with just the four of us. Like, we can create something together, and knowing that we have other people that we will watch this later, right? And we can think about those people being with us, and those people will feel us being with them when they watch it. And like that's because there is this realm, in my opinion anyway, and in my experience, there is a realm outside of time and space where it doesn't matter. Like it's making those connections on another plane where it like you don't all have to be in the same room, you don't all have to be on the same Zoom call at the same time, you don't have to be in person holding hands. I mean, can all of those things enhance a ritual? Absolutely. Like there is nothing quite like an in-person ritual where we are all holding hands together and looking in each other's eyes and anointing each other with oil. and things like that. And I've done those rituals as well. But like, I've also done some really, I mean, and I say I, but other people were helping me, including 3 people here. But we've done these amazing fucking rituals, right? Like where people were really like moved and they had a really fulfilling experience and it was online. And so like, I don't know, we were in this we were watching a workshop, all 4 of us, not all together, oddly. We were outside of Simon's face. Like, and it was like the person was very insistent that the ritual they were talking about had to be done in person. And you know what? Maybe it is more effective in person. I don't know. I haven't done that ritual, but they were very adamant that it couldn't be done online. And I was like, really? Like might not be the same online, but that doesn't mean it can't be done, in my opinion and in my experience. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you prefer to work in person, that's one thing to be like, well, I prefer to work in person and I think this works better in person. That may be very well true. But I think it's really weird when people speak in absolutes. Like, this is not going to work.
Again, witchcraft is so not about absolutes. Like in my opinion.
Not at all. That's science.
And that's absolute
It's science. Yeah. That's so weird. I mean, I don't even understand as like a witch how you could even say that when the ethereal like clearly exists and like witchcraft is so like energetic and energy transcends time and space, and it just like even on a scientific level to say that is just kind of wild to me.
Yeah, that's something, and we've all talked about this too. And like, it'd be like saying there's no science into the fact that trees have a vibration and they talk to each other. And they talk to bugs and different animals and the vibrations they send. That is a science. If you watch like a nature documentary and you see the science on it, but yet the vibrations that we see or feel with a crystal or a stone is not existent, or just the vibration that we are having at that moment or whatever. It's just weird that when it comes into like this world, the science like stops. I don't know. I don't know how to,
It
how to
is really
but like
weird.
we're all very big, have, science backgrounds and everything like that and everything, but it's just the two mix so well, but it is not really seen as such.
And then in the past, mysticism, science, and art were one thing altogether.
Yeah.
And then like religion happened, and it all got split up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always think about alchemy, right? And how alchemy actually was like the forerunner of modern chemistry and
Right.
just how like it's all like evolved. And I just think it's really interesting. Like I remember when I was doing my chem labs and like I had my little crucible and like, I was burning off, the impurities to get like the whatever I was trying to get. And all I could think of was like, whoo, I'm an alchemist.
So many times in labs where I'm like, I feel like I'm making a potion, or I'm
Right.
dealing with a tag log from a Homo erectus, or
Right.
it's so cool.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah. Or I was like a mad scientist in my head. I was like, ha ha ha, I've got my round bottom flask and I'm making some, yeah. Like, I don't know. I have a very vivid fantasy life in my head, I guess. Got me through OChem.
Imagination.
May, like, yeah. And then May, like you said earlier, creativity is so important, and science grew from creativity and imagination, right? And art. Like
And
art, there were so many
curiosity.
ideas.
Somebody had to think of that.
You had to go with your own intuition and observing the world around you. Like that's where it all starts.
Fuck around and find out.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like I said the other day to you all. I mean, like people think science has all the answers, but I think science has all the questions.
Yes.
How to ask a question. Like, what is the question to ask?
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
like if science wasn't asking questions, we would be done with science. like science would be done.
Yeah.
We would be like, we know everything.
Yeah.
Time to stop doing experiments. There's no point because we already have all the answers. It's like,
And
no.
art gives us the truth to the questions because
Mhm.
it's so personal.
Yeah.
I love
The
art.
answers the questions.
Yeah. Actually, segueing from that, I was thinking about how, like, the moon and casting the shadow. And I was thinking about how, like, this is my tea moment right now, how we often
Right.
think about, like, in societal norms, like, darkness and shadow is only things that are harmful and
Mhm.
bad and, like, you know what I mean? And I just feel like there's so much to darkness and shadow. It's not just your traumas. It's not just, you know what I mean? Like, it's not just that. There's like creativity comes from it. Like, I really think of darkness as a vessel of everything. Like
Mhm.
everything that's past, everything that's coming, everything that's now, it's like everything. It's every possibility, like dark matter. And it's like, what are you going to born from that? What are you going to birth from that? And
Mhm.
so for myself, I do a lot of my own personal rituals that focuses and tapping into that deep, dark side of myself. I often think I'm like diving in the ocean. Like that's the visual I use. It's like
Mm.
diving deep into that crevice in the ocean and finding what's in there. And it often requires me to do a lot of sacred creativity. And I was discussing this earlier, where it's not for anyone. Like I can show it. And I'm not saying you can't show it. And I think there's benefits to showing your work. You don't
Mhm.
have to, but there is benefits. Um, but I feel like when you just do write a poem, automatic writing, movement, you can dance by yourself in the dark. Um, making things with things you found in nature, painting, drawing, doodling. Like it could have like no point. It could just be like automatic movement with a pen or a brush. Like there's so many ways you could sing, you can chant. Like there's so many things. And I feel like, even like questioning, just sitting, like being the science mind is it's an artist mind, in my opinion. The scientist is an artist. And it's like sitting there and observing the world and letting questions come to you, like random stuff that you wouldn't think there would be a question for. Like all those things. To me, that's like creativity, and like that's where witchcraft can be such a beautiful thing. And that's why I always really like to push. If I was to be a mentor, and I don't think I could ever be a mentor, I'll just be like, come hang out with me, but I don't think I could claim mentor. I don't want that responsibility. I'm sorry I screwed you up. I would just say like just have fun. Just be curious and like just be alone in that and do it with other people. You can do that with other people, but no expectations. Like that's the trick. It just trust. And like trust is like such an important element. You have to trust the mystery.
Mhm.
You have to trust the unknown and see what comes of it, because it's all like this particle array that will array itself in a certain way, and you're going to figure things out. I'm making stuff up, by the way. It's just how it's the only way I could think of how to transmute this information.
Mhm.
Um, so I was saying earlier, like you can be sovereign in the world, but you're a prisoner inside,
Mhm.
right? Because you just don't allow yourself that freedom to explore the self. And I was wanting to hear all your opinions on that, or what you had to say about that.
I
I'm
sent the
literally
workshop.
thinking of you dressed as Lily from Legend with darkness dancing. Every time now you talk about darkness, I'm like, oh, I just wish Julia could be
I totally have a crush on darkness, by the way.
dancing. Well, it's like so perfect hearing you talk about it. Sorry, just had to say that.
I
I,
find myself really drawn to the gothic style. My body's always involved in some fucking way, but like I feel like there's just something about goth, even the being, and it's not even like it doesn't even have to go in depth, right? To like that hardcore goth, but it's like there's like this energy. And I've talked about it with you before, Nishida, too. Even in dance, there's like this angry, guttural, like ugly dance that I'm just so fucking drawn to. And I like want to just dig my nails into whatever that is. And I dream about it often, specifically with this. There's this one guy, his name is Andy Biersag. They call him Andy Black, but he's a part of this band called Black Veil Brides. And he's like super Capricorn, has a lot of heavy Capricorn placements. And I dream about him so often. And I think it's just because he like embodies what I want to embody so badly, like the darker parts. And I like almost like look up to him in that way. Like he's so unapologetically self-expressive of this part of himself. And he's always been like that ever since he was a kid. But like I don't know. That's what I'm so drawn to. And I do find that oftentimes I don't fully go all the way in as much as I'd like to. But when I give myself permission to do it, I'm admittingly a little scared of like sharing that with the world. But I'm so drawn to it. And I don't know why. It's like I want to embody it. I don't know. Talk to me. What does that mean?
Do it. Find a song and just dance it out. You can
Yeah.
record it if you want. You don't have to, but I mean, you can record it, but you don't have to post it anywhere, just for you to have that and see yourself. And at first seeing yourself, you're going to be like, oh God, I didn't, or something, but then the more you do it, the more it's going to feel natural. Just like we've been talking about, the more that you do the thing,
Mm-hmm.
start doing the thing, and you're like, yeah, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
Then you just go for it, because there
Embrace
is
it.
something like living deliciously,
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah,
Like, oh, I
everything
want to
you're
do
saying.
that.
Yeah, I don't know, there's something so raw, and we talk about sensuality a lot, the four of us too, and
Mhm.
there's just something that's just so primal and enjoyable to like those different types of desires.
Mhm.
I say go for it. Dance the thing however you want to dance the thing, wearing whatever you want, and
Yeah, and I feel like it's in different forms. It's like I want to do it in film, I want to do it in dance, I want to like, and I just want to be it. Like I'm tired of like observing it. I want to like embody it. And I just, yeah. So it's a constant thing, and I do sometimes think I like kind of scare myself out of it. And I'm like, oh, well, I can't do that. I'll look cringe or like, something ridiculous like that. But I'm definitely drawn to it. And I do feel like Julia, when I tap into it, I give myself permission to do so, then there's so much sacred creativity there. There's so much a well to be expressed. And whether I decide to share that or not is my business. But I find it so empowering. I think that's why I like fire spinning so much, because I'm just like I'm kind of tapping into that part a little. I don't know, primordial creativity, fire, beautiful.
I see like performance art for you. I'm not saying that's what you have to do, but I see you in
Mhm.
performance art where they're blah, blah. Why am I lisping? Like, I'm like the snake is coming out. We're talking all the parts. Um, like I just think of like dance or film or like art that like visual art, but it's a performance or even like a band or
Yeah.
like even if it's not for serious, it's just for like have fun, get together and rock out. Oh my God, me and metal music, like metal music hits me there. Like that's like my baby. Like that's where I get to like dance hard and like get
Yes.
guttural and like in it and dirty. And especially like if it's there's a balance of like sweetness in it with
Hmm.
like hardness, and it's like that pull and push and pull, like oh, like I'm talking about it, I literally got goosebumps, and I'm like trying not to move right now because I'm thinking of songs. I'm like, yeah.
Like it gives me such a sacral response. Like it turns me on. I know it sounds
Yeah.
weird, but does that make sense? Like
Oh, I'm totally there.
my
Yeah.
sacral is like ding, like,
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting
like
goosebumps talking about it. I'm
For
just
me,
like,
it's industrial, the industrial music.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
industrial. Okay. Mhm.
yeah, I
see that.
sometimes do that, especially going to like goth clubs and stuff. It's always
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I miss that. I used to do that so much.
Her Vesme.
I used to go when I was 16 because my sister and her ex-husband were DJs at a local golf club called the Castle. And I used to go when I was 16 and nobody would question it and stuff. So I was like, I've been going a long time when I was like 20.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
went to gay clubs when I was 16, but I would have rather golf clubs. That sounds awesome.
So I'm about to blow your mind because
Oh.
in Portland, when I was growing up, when I was in high school, we had a club that was a gay club and a golf club.
Oh,
So it was like 2 floors, and the lower floor was like top 40 and house music, and then the upper floor was like goth and industrial, and like sometimes new wave, but mostly like goth and industrial. And it was fucking amazing. It was called The City, and I went like all the time. I miss it. Like I'm like I want that experience again. Like I'm not a person who's like I want to go back to my younger days, but like if I could, that would be the experience. I would be like I'm getting myself a pack of clove cigarettes and Marlboro Reds, and I'm getting my ass to the city. And the fun thing is that the city, if anybody here listening knows Powell's bookstore, the city was like a few blocks away from Powell's. So what we would do is we would go to Powell's until Powell's closed at like 10:30, and then we would just be like a little bit before the opening of the nightclub, or like around the same time. So like we go to Powell's, get our cup of coffee, like look at books and shit, and then we go to the city and like dance until
I
That's
love
fucking
that.
cool.
Oh,
it's so fucking amazing. I miss it so much. I do. I really do. But yeah, like I don't know. The 90s were a wild time.
right.
I think what's that guy's name? Kevin something, and he's like, it was the 80s. And I think he and I are about the same age.
Yeah.
It was the 90s.
you have to have that voice modification.
Yeah, yeah. I took that off of my phone. Remember, I made that recording.
Oh yeah.
I was in a cult.
You're gonna make me pee.
I need a sip for this.
Oh my gosh, man.
That's another episode, y'all. You're gonna have to wait for a special episode coming up.
We had a club like that too in Montreal, May, and I remember there was the basement and it had cages and you could dance in the cages, and it was like there's like belts and straps. It was like
Like
gothy
S&M kind of shit.
BDSM. Oh, it was such a good time. I just loved it. And then for some reason there was like a boxing ring, I remember. I don't know if I'm remembering this wrong, but I think there was a boxing ring in the middle and people were inside like dance battling from each side.
So cool.
And we're all
That
like,
sounds really
was
badass.
such a good. I love gay clubs. Oh, just
Yeah, they're so much fun. They're so
Yes.
empowering.
yeah.
I've never felt so beautiful. They're like, yes, bitch. And I'm like, thanks.
I'm like, I hate you all. You all look better than me.
Right.
I love it.
There's that thing with just that like that primordial, like you said, Veronica, and just like that. I don't know. It's just something about it, like in metal and in industrial, there's like that drumming, you know?
Mhm.
It's just like, there's something like the vibrations, there's something there that you're just like,
Yeah,
It's the pulse, right? It's the pulse.
energy.
Like the drum and the bass for me, it's like the pulse of everything.
Mhm.
It's so
Yeah.
like, it's like
Pure
it's the
fire,
life force of everything.
the
Yeah.
heart.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I love
cool.
it.
So I want to say something about this is confession to confession time.
Yay.
So first of all, I think you should teach a workshop, Julia, on this like automatic art stuff. Secondly, like I have this issue, and I think this is one reason why I don't do art. Like I come from a family of artists. Like everybody in my family is an artist of some sort, except for me. I mean, and I'm not saying like I'm sitting here looking at paintings and shit that I've done. So it's not like I don't do things, but I have this really hard time that even if I'm like writing in my journal, and I love writing, like writing is my thing. But like if I'm writing in my journal or I'm like painting or I'm doing whatever, even if I'm coloring in a fucking coloring book, I have this weird thought in the back of my head like somebody's going to see this. Not like in a I need to hide it, but it's like I'm doing this for somebody to see. Like it always has that layer of this is for somebody else's consumption, and I cannot Like I cannot break free from that. I mean, I'm trying and I'm not going to give up, but it is such a struggle for me to get out of that. Even if I'm dancing like alone in my office, I'm like, somebody's watching me. Not like
Someone
somebody's
might come in, right?
Yeah.
yeah, but it's like this is a performance. Somebody's judging my performance.
Mm.
And I really like would love to get away from that like thought. And I
Yeah.
know like there's nothing y'all are going to be able to tell me right now to be like, oh, just do this or just do that, because it's just something I need to work through. But like, yeah, that is like I think what you are saying is very true. Like I think when I have been able to get into that space where I'm just in the flow and I'm not thinking about, somebody looking at my shit or judging it, or like they're going to see it later and is it going to be worth anything, or, whatever. If I can get out of that, I do amazing shit.
Mm.
Or when I do something where I can get into the mode of I'm doing this just for fun, and really believe that I'm doing it for fun. Because there's a lot of times where I'm like, I'm going to go paint just for fun. And then I do it and I'm like, this doesn't feel like fun. This feels like I'm producing something, or I'm supposed to be producing something. But when I can get into that space, like my shit's amazing. And so I want to like figure that. And I know really, honestly, the answer is just to fucking do it.
Yeah.
Just fuck around and find out.
Right. Like you said, May, there's not going to be anything that any of us are going to say, but one thing that really helped me is like with dance, and I still do this, and I'm the same way. I'll be home alone and just dancing, and then I start having those thoughts like, oh, what if somebody came home early and the door's cracked and they see me? Or then I start getting in my head of like, oh, if I was doing this as a performance, what would I do? And all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I start doing that to myself. But the one thing over the years that has helped me is I'll pretend, even though my husband is like huge support and he's just like star eyes for me, like a wolf, woo, 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 all the
Yeah,
time.
right. Like the Tex Avery wolf.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Oh,
Yes,
No.
I love those cartoons.
Me too.
But what I will do is either I'll think of him or I'll think like, let's just make pretend like before he existed, in my mind.
Hmm.
And you know what I mean? Um, let's say there's someone who is like a secret admirer of mine, and I could just take a shit and they'll be like, oh, it's amazing. Like just, somebody
$500.
who is like obsessed with me. And I'm like, well, if they were watching me, they wouldn't care what I did. And I'm just gonna do this and like, oh, that's sexy. Okay, then I feel good. I'm gonna do this. And then it just kind of lets me just enjoy because I try to think of it as a lens of someone just liked everything that I did and I was performing for that person, I wouldn't care.
I like that.
I would just
I
like let
do
go.
too.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I helped.
I love that.
One thing I was gonna, oh,
Well,
sorry,
guess
May,
what
you
you
go ahead.
can. So,
No. I was just gonna say, like, actually, that makes me think of something that my partner actually did say about me, like way early on when we were first dating, and like we've talked about it since then. And he's like, "Oh, I still feel the same way." Like he'll say something. He said something like, "If you saw yourself through my eyes, you would never like put yourself down."
mhm.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I have been trying so hard to think like that, because I mean, like, I just was like, what?
Really
Like,
beautiful,
you
though.
can't really mean that. Like,
Mhm.
but yeah, I think, yeah, I have, and actually, that is something like it has been like a little bit of a mantra for me. Like when I'm working on like self compassion and things like that, I'm like, well, Bill would not be mad at me for this. Like, why am I mad at me for this?
Right?
Yeah.
And that like ties back to that awareness part too, like earlier May you were talking about um just like having that awareness and it like popped in my head too where it's like for me with chronic health issues and everything, there's things like with mast cell activation syndrome. It's like your body can take in something, and inside my body, there's like people that are just like, fuck you, like, oh, I'm just gonna get you, like immediately going to action to just like kill whatever just came in my body when it didn't need to. It's like
Mhm.
there's a super angry cell in there that just wants to get at everything that comes in. And so it's like constantly having this self-defense mode. And then I have had to learn to train my body to be like, no, 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 no. everything's fine. And like we've talked about cold showers and breath work and everything like that being very helpful, but just that work that you really have to do to be aware and fully present and being like, no, it's okay. Like I'm okay. And so that I feel like that brings it right back to like the awareness part too. Like there's so much in awareness. It can just like be in every topic and something too.
And I just had like this mind-blowing thought too. Like those are spells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everything is cool right now.
Mhm.
You know? And I actually have thought about that too. Like I've thought like, okay, my brain is very powerful. And we know this, right? Like, I mean, science has shown that our brains are powerful and they create all kinds of things, right? And so why would I use this brain? I mean, and yes, we've talked about how anxiety is just a part of evolution. Like, we're supposed to be worried about the future, we're supposed to be analyzing the past. Like, that's just how our brains are programmed to keep us safe. But at the same time, it's like, why am I creating, murder, death, kill scenario in my head when I can create like a beautiful outcome, when I can create like something that is good, like when I can create the thing that I want versus the thing that I don't want. And that's another thing I think that kind of ties into shadow work, because I feel like right now in the witchcraft zeitgeist is like people are very much into this, not only shadow work, but there's also like this piece of I'm letting go of whatever doesn't serve me. And my thought lately has been like, well, then, bitch, what do you want? You're letting this go. What's going to come back in? Right? Like, why are you focusing? Why are you saying the spell for the thing that you don't want? Why are you constantly like, I don't want, and I do it too. Like, I don't want to be a people pleaser. I don't want to feel like I can't have money. I don't want to feel this way. Like, our brains don't understand I don't. They understand I want. So why am I telling myself constantly? Why am I telling the universe constantly what I don't want? Why am I not? I mean, and this isn't trying to be toxic positivity, because yes, of course we need to do release work. We need to make space in our lives for things, but we also need to talk about, what do we want? Like, okay, I don't want this, but what do I want instead? And I think like that's another piece of like, where are my values coming into this? Like, do you even know what your values are? Like, what are your values? Like, what do you want in your life? And honestly, like that's something I've been doing a lot of self-inquiry about, like, because I feel like I've been focusing so much of my life on other people's needs and wants. I've never really stopped to go, well, what the fuck does May want? Like, what does May want? And it's so funny because I think we were also talking about how like I changed my entire fucking name from my childhood name. And it was really like I was in my mid-20s and I was like, I don't want to be like this person that my parents created, right? Like, I don't want to be this person that they named and they have this control over and whatever, because names are very powerful, right? And so I'm like, I'm going to create my own name. And I did. And but it's like, but you still sometimes like, okay, I got that, I got my name, I created this persona or whatever, but like, what do I want now? Like, okay, cool, I don't want what my parents wanted for me, but what do I fucking want? Why am I still trying to do that shit when I don't want that? Or whatever. So yeah, it's something like I've really been giving a lot of thought to.
Like I wanted to speak to that because you all know I was going on that journey of who am I? Like who am I? Because like I was telling you, I become a master masker, like really good at it. But it leaves me exhausted. And I've had to accept that people are not going to like who I am. So I'm just going to be like, one, two, three. Okay, this is who I am. If they hate me, they hate me.
Go.
Yeah, one, two, three, go. It's like thing. But you know what really helps me, that, and it's something I've always done, but I didn't realize the correlation to it. And maybe I should do a workshop on this, is getting grounded, like getting in that sacral, like that root chakra. I don't know what they're called, like the root part of your body. And I find like that's, and like that hits the shadow for me because it's like, I know for me, I can get really in the head, especially being like an Aquarius and Mercury. I can really get in the head. And I find when I get too much in my head, I need to like get back into like solid onto the ground. And then I'll do like my grounding work. And you probably all heard about grounding work. But one of the things that really helps me is trance. And it's kind of weird because it's kind of in your head because it's subconscious. But I guess like shamanism, it's not at the same time. It's like a different realm, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. You guys can fill me in. But what has helped for me, and I don't need to have music, but often I will do music, especially something with like a heavy bass and a drum that's consistent. And I'll just sit and I'll move to it. And then like, and I'll start stiff and that's often like when I'm talking with like here in the podcast, you'll see me doing that. And it's kind of me helping, like, I'm getting nervous. Okay. I need to ground. And part of it is like, think of the music and sway. It's like my stimming, but I think everyone can stim, like, you know, be neurodivergent. And something about that movement, it's like from your hip and it's like reminding you like, hey, down in the root, baby, like get into your root and like just move. And the more you move, you start to get a little more into it and a little more into it. And you do it long enough, you're not in this plane anymore. Like you start to like wonder. And like first you might have thoughts about your day, but eventually random shit comes in. And that's the fun. Like that's the fun part. And you can do whatever you want with it. You can write, you can paint, you can do whatever. So like if I could just impart anything to anyone, just like sit down somewhere quiet. Like I have 4 children, so that's going to be the closet or on the toilet or on the bath. I'll just sway. At this point, I sway everywhere, so my kids are used to it. But I'll just sway, and like sometimes I'll have music, or the music's in my head, or I'll be outside. Like I love to be near the water and hear the crashing, or being in the forest and hearing the trees move. And I just move, and it's like it brings me back. It just brings me back into my body, takes me out of my head, and I'll let thoughts come in, but it's not the same as like your forced thoughts. Like, oh, what if I have to do? It's more like letting random downloads or random intuition come to you. And I feel like it's such an inviting thing. And that's why, Nishita, I love it when you talk about your dance and like when you blindfold yourself, because I think there's really something about that sensory
Yeah. Like,
deprivation. There you go. That's why I like doing it in my closet. There's no window in there. So I close the door, it's pitch black, and then I'll just sway on my hips. Especially like I feel like I need to sit on the ground. So I'll put like a pillow and I'll just sit on my hips and I'll do this. And it just takes me there. And of course, I've been doing this for so long. It's easy for me to get there. And I think it's a really important thing to like, if I'm doing this and I feel uncomfortable, why? Why is this uncomfortable? And I will tell you, coming from a Catholic background, that was uncomfortable because it's like, oh, I'm aware of like my private parts and I feel like a sinner. Right. And that's like a shot, like that's a fucking root block right there. That's like, that's where your creativity comes from. I don't care what assigned gender or chosen gender, whatever. Like it's for everyone. Like it's something that we all have issues with. Don't touch down there. Don't look down there. When you move like this, you're going to be aware of it. And like let yourself be aware of it, you know, whether you need to pee or whatever, like let yourself be aware of it and just move. And I just feel like you might not get into it right away, but you do it enough. It just like now I feel so much more grounded and more calm and not stressed out. Like I just, if anyone can try that, like that would be the first thing. Like before you do anything creative, do that and let yourself like lock in, get grounded and let thoughts come and flow. And you don't have to do anything about them. They could be amazing ideas. You can let them come and do something about it. You can write them down for maybe a later date or don't do anything. Maybe someone else will claim it. Maybe it's not your turn to claim it. You can choose to claim it or not, whatever, but they'll come. And the more you do it, like the more it gets easier. But like, that's what I would do. That's what I would recommend anyone just try it. And it really works.
That's
love
awesome.
that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Kundalini yoga a little bit because you work from the bottom up and yeah,
They're
that's pretty cool.
snake-like, isn't it?
Yeah, very
serpent-like,
snake-like.
yeah.
And it's very like breathy and like chanting and yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I will say, like, I bought one of those yoga ball office chairs recently. and it has been helping me like so much with a lot of things. But like, yeah, that awareness and being grounded, because like in a traditional office chair, like you're just like,
Yeah.
like, and you may not even be aware of your body for like hours, but like in this chair, like I'll be like, oh, I feel a little tightness in my back. Oh, I can move, or I can do this and I can do that. And then also with my ADHD, it's like, oh, I can bounce and I can, like, or I can like, beep, 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 beep. And it just brings me like joy, like in my day, like,
Yeah.
or, oh, I can stretch, like I can't get up just yet, but I can take a second to stretch, or whatever.
Thank you for that, May. I actually just bought that chair, so I will hopefully be getting it soon.
Yay. I hope it works for
Um,
you. Because I know like some people are like, oh, I hated it, but I love it. Like, I'm like, why did I wait so long to get this thing? I love it so much.
gotta get it.
Mhm.
Get it.
I have one of those balls, so I think I'll just bring the ball in. Watch me
Yeah.
fly off
I
backwards
know
when
that's
I'm
the thing.
talking
Like
to
I
you.
somehow fall out of this chair. I don't even know what I would do.
It's more stable than you would think because it has like its little cradle that the ball sits in, right? So, yeah. I tried to use like my normal yoga ball, but it was too short. So that's
Yeah,
why,
that's the only thing, right? It
yeah.
might be too short.
Because my office desk is like it's a vintage desk, so it doesn't have like any capacity to like adjust. So I have to adjust me for it. So, and I'm tiny, like I'm 5'2". So it's like I have to like prop myself up and like have a little footstool and everything to be ergonomically sound. But yeah, I love it. It's like it really has helped me a lot, and it's helped me with my posture. It's helped me with like my core strength, just because you are aware of it, and then it's like, oh yeah, I can do my physical therapy exercises, like and it doesn't take any effort at all. Like I'm in a meeting, I'm just doing my little exercises or whatever. And it's, yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody, but I love it. So
That's a good point too. Like I feel like physicality, like when we have good posture, there it's like tied to confidence as well. When we feel unsafe, we tend to sort of like cave our shoulders in and hover over. But when we have confidence, which I feel like is very largely tied to sovereignty and safety,
Opened up.
yeah, we're more open and
Mm.
willing. And there's
And
probably
that's
more
what
awareness too, right? Like if you think about the chakra system,
yeah.
being in alignment to
yeah,
receive the downloads.
the energy is flowing better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I have scoliosis. So I'm never going to be like perfectly up, like straight up and
Right.
down. Like even when I watch myself, like while we're recording, I'm like, oh, I'm turning my head to the side because
I
of
do
my
that
scoliosis.
too.
Yeah.
My cervical mastoid, I'm
It's
constantly
serpentine. It's all.
My neck like that.
I was gonna quickly add in that Veronica, I was thinking about you talking about the goth. Like, what if you don't have to leave the house and you just let yourself go all out? Makeup, hair, dress, and you don't have to go out. Just experiment. I don't
You
know.
know
Like I do that a lot at home.
what's so funny, Julia, is I used to do that. I
Yeah.
used to like get ready in my house. I would just like put on all this is what because I told you I love clothes and I collect clothes and I would just like put on an outfit and I'd have like a persona and it wouldn't go anywhere, but it was like I did it for myself. It was weird. It was just like I needed to like be there in that moment. Um, I don't know, but that's a really good idea. That's what I used to do, so I should do that again. But it
And
is
then what?
it is definitely, I'm afraid someone's gonna walk in, especially with the dancing, just because that actually happened to me as a kid. And it
Yeah.
was always my dad, so it was like fucking awkward. And it was always just like I was dancing sexy.
Yeah.
Like,
Always.
We've
it
all
was
had
so
that.
bad. It was embarrassing. So yeah, there's always a little bit of that fear, but I don't know what it is. Like I do feel I feel like I'm in the same boat as you. As I definitely stop myself, or if I actually go all out and do it, and then like I'm in society like that, it's just like the whole time I'm like everybody thinks I'm a freak. And I don't own it, and I need to own it. And so that's still something that I'm trying to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have
That's
to laugh
why,
at that because I will go out because, like, I'll be like, I'm going to go to a ritual. And so I will get like all dressed up for my ritual and I'll have my makeup and my jewelry and everything on. And then I'll be like, I'm going to stop at Total Wine in Vancouver, where like it's one thing in Portland. People in Portland are like used to seeing people. But it's like every time I've done that, there's always been somebody who's like, oh my gosh, I love your necklace. Or, oh, you know
oh,
what I mean? So it just kind of cracks me up because it's like, these things, these fears that we have. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know there are people who live in places where they do have to really worry about that. But like, I think a lot of the times, like the things that we are so afraid of are like either never going to come true or people are going to keep their thoughts to themselves and you're never going to know. And it's all in our heads, right? And it also kind of makes me think like my dad was definitely one of those people, like for whatever reason, it was like, oh, those people I can't hear or understand are talking about me. And I'm like, why? Why would they talk? Like, they don't know you. Like, I finally like said that to him. I think I was like in junior high or high school. And I was like, why the fuck would they talk about you? Like, how interesting are you to them? You know what I mean? But like in his head, they were like judging him and like talking shit, and I'm just kind of like, I'm like, and who cares? Even if they are, like, you're gonna leave Mervin's and you're never gonna see them again. Like, what
it's
the
an
fuck do you
Aquarius
care?
moon issue. Julia, you might be able to relate to this. But yeah, it's like I feel like there are voices in my head that are always trying to make me the outsider or like she's so weird or like she's so blah blah blah. And I'm like, and I don't ever feel like I belong somewhere. And it's just like I know it's like the cycle that I have to kind of be like, it's okay. Like
Yeah.
it's okay. No one cares.
Yeah.
No one gives
For
a
me,
fuck.
it translate like how it comes out, expresses with me is like, oh, I look too much like everyone. I need to like shake it
Yes,
up.
that
Like,
too. Mhm. It's like it's the pendulum though, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
like if
yeah.
I feel too like everybody else, then I'm like, ugh, and then I go way on the opposite side, and then I dress inappropriately for like a child event, which I've done
Right?
times. I'm like, oh God damn it, Veronica.
I got my tits
No,
out
it's
bra
for
on for the 5-year-old's birthday party.
I've done it before several times. I'm like, I gotta find that balance.
Yeah.
it's Auntie Morticia. Hey.
Yeah.
Right?
What's up?
Oh, I think that's great.
Okay.
Mhm.
You guys want to do our cards?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was such a good episode, you all. I think like this has been really a fun conversation
Mhm.
and helpful for me. I feel
Yeah,
like
me
you all
too.
should bill me for therapy.
It's-
I think that's one
I
thing I
always-
love about us though, is like there's such trust between the four of us. Like we can have those conversations like, am I veering into eating disorder territory? Please tell me if I'm being fat phobic. Like, am I being racist right now?
Yeah.
And I love that, like, at least speaking from my own personal experience, it's like not only do I feel comfortable enough to ask those hard questions with you all, but I also feel like you'll give me the honest answer.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to be like, oh no, you're fine, May, and then be like that bitch.
no, we're like, bitch, sit down, get ready.
I love that.
Who wants to go first?
Fine.
Okay.
So I'm using the Tarot of the Divine by Yoshi Yoshitani. Um, this deck is so pretty. But the card that I pulled was the Death card. So super appropriate for this conversation, I think. And just that, that release, but also being aware, like in this one, I love that. Let me see if I can bring my face.
Yeah.
The it's like what's behind the veil, what's behind the curtain, kind of thing too. Trying to get
Yes.
Yeah.
so lit up by the
Yeah, I
veil.
see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like what we were saying too, where it's like needing to release, but also needing to illuminate and have that sense of awareness to see what is present and what what does need to be released, what needs to be worked on, what do I need to do for myself? Do I need to grieve? Do I need to do this? But also having that curiosity too, and that belief in ourselves to see what is going to be forward and what of this am I going to be sitting with so that way I can go forward too. So I really, um, I'm glad that this was the card.
Pick someone, Nishita.
You go, Julia.
Okay. Um, so I'm reading from the Sacred Rebels Oracle, and I got in the world, not of the world. And I think it's so appropriate for this talk today. It's like being in that dark space, like being you. Who are you? And it's not really something that's easily tangible, right? It's so nuanced, and it's just, but it's there, and it's like you have to get in and like settle there and figure it out slowly. I don't even know if we'll ever fully. Do you think we would ever know ourselves fully or no? Right? It'll be always a mystery,
Changing.
right? It's like
Mhm.
constant, which I think is cool
Mhm.
and evolving. So yeah, that's card for today. I think it's pretty suits the theme. May.
Okay. So I am using, oops, let me get the box. Let me just knock everything off my desk. Tarot Renard by Celia Melville. And I love this deck so much. The card I have is the 10 of Wands, which is honestly a card I pull for myself a lot. I don't know if it's blurry, but basically it's the fox is carrying a big bundle of sticks, and it also has all of these creatures on top of the sticks. So there are snails and birds and a rabbit and a mouse and a butterfly and just like all of this bird, and it's definitely weighed down by this. And I thought that this was such, and it's like hot out, right? There's a big sun and everything's all dry and it's just like struggling under the weight while all the other creatures are just kind of relaxing and sleeping and resting. And it makes me think about boundaries. This card always makes me think about, what am I carrying that is not mine? How can other people share the load with me? Like maybe these little creatures can't carry a whole stick by themselves, but maybe they can, carry one stick altogether. And that's one less stick that I have to carry, right? And I think, like, for some of us who have been like overly responsible in our lives and think that it is our job to carry all the sticks and all the other creatures, like, it's time to let those burdens down. So I think this was really good for sovereignty today. Right, Veronica?
All right. Well, I am using the Earthly Souls and Spirits Moon Oracle deck. I felt very appropriate with the moon and Cancer and all of that jazz. And I pulled the Nature card. And I really love this card. You've got like a little moon with an owl, and then you've got these two trees that just reminds me of the actual moon card in the tarot, where it's like, am I choosing fear and anxiety, or am I choosing awareness and intuition? And walking that path between, trying to see past the illusion with the wisdom of the owl. And I also feel like when I think of like nature, we always hear like nurture versus nature. Like nature is us. It's like our moon in our natal charts. It's the most immediate emotional response. It's really who we are. And those fears that sort of are a part of that kind of control our narrative. And anytime we do something or put ourselves out there, trying to break free of the chains to find sovereignty, we have to come back to ourselves and whatever is authentic to us. And that's going to bring up some authentic shadows as well. Some shadows that are probably cyclical, like nature, right? Nature is cyclical. But also remembering, I think, to like find the beauty in that too. Like, I think it's so easy to kind of shit on ourselves. Like we're like, oh, I'm this way and I wish I couldn't. Like it was like what you were saying earlier, May, where it was like, I just want to let go of this. And more so it's about acceptance. And it's through the acceptance and through the surrender that we kind of get to sovereignty. And that's really how nature is too, right? Like it has to die. That's like not something that it has a choice. They have to go through that cycle in order to rebirth. Um, and so yeah, leaning into the nature of us and finding acceptance in that and healing and beauty and illumination and all the things. Yeah. Very, very appropriate.
I love that.
I just realized I didn't talk about the I rushed through it, but I think there's some really important parts. So
Yeah.
you'll see that
I thought you
there's
were
salmon in the river. And when I think of salmon, I think of the cycle of the salmon and how they have to go up the river against the current. And it's a struggle. And it's kind of like what we were talking about, like how growth is like that and evolution is like that. And it's like the same journey, though. They do the same journey every time to the same location. And it's kind of like what we were talking about, how that thing is always going to be there. That challenge is always going to be there. But it's like, how do you integrate that with your life? And how
Mhm.
can you like use that or even just be at peace with that?
Mhm.
But don't let it overtake you, like May was saying. And then the person has like a salmon roe in their hair. It's all the eggs. And that's like the new life, like the seeds that are planted, the seeds that are planted by the salmon that are doing this journey, this generational journey that the salmon before them did, and going back to that same place and bringing new life. And I'm thinking about how that's kind of what we're like, right? Our whole life is a cycle and we're going back to that same thing. And
Mhm.
it's not really a linear event. It's like constantly this cycle. And each time we're planting that new seed. And I'm thinking about how the figures has this like quite a movement to them and they're in water. And I'm also thinking about how like movement and fluidity and intuition, like trust yourself, like they're very vulnerable. They're naked and it's like they're sovereign and free and comfortable. And it's like the idea of like just having that trust in your instinct and your intuition and how that can bring forth creativity and new things and new growth in yourself. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. I totally skipped it.
I
I
like
love
also how, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I love how you were literally just talking about like being in a sway and like
Yeah.
movement and flow and like our water and everything. And then that card was just like, hug
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
flow. And it was like perfect. And then after you share that, I was just like, holy shit, I think all four of us had an element of ourselves in the card that we just pulled. Like Maze was very earthy and like talking about the weight of things on you and like releasing the things and acknowledging things. And then Veronica, yours was very like that like was it like a purpley card? It was just very like
Mhm.
I don't know, like that maroony, like lit up environment. And then the moon and um like the owl and just like all seeing and seeing everything and um going, like you said, going through that space and like that journey and how you were mentioning like just kind of that primordial space. And then Julia, yours with the water and the flow and the movement, and then mine with like the veil and going, to the darker side, especially so working with the Baron Samedi and like seeing the skull and everything back there and death doula and air and all of that. So just like shit, all four of us had like something with that card and I just realized it. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. Julia, that card that you drew, I love it. How she's like, or the person, the figure in there is just like, I mean, it is very much like exactly what the card says. Like she is like in this world of the salmon, but she's not a salmon, but she's taking part in all of it. and she's allowing herself to be there, and they're, interacting with her, and like their row is in her hair, and she's, just like part of all of it, but she's not a salmon. And it is kind of making me think about how belonging is so important in our world, right? And how we change ourselves to belong a lot of times when we can just be ourselves and find our own space.
Oh my
And
gosh, yeah.
yeah, and then that also goes to the root chakra, right? Because the root chakra is I am, like I am here, I take up space, I belong here, I'm worthy of being here, I'm worthy of being a part of this world. And like your card just to me embodies all of that. And the salmon are very sacred to me as well, so like I needed that, I think.
And that's like the thing, that in the world instead of the world, like you are in it, you are part of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I am here, I am who I am,
Mm-hmm.
like everything else.
The mantra for Aries is I am as well. And I feel like Aries is like the warrior, right? They're always like fighting to be sovereign in some way. They're always looking for that fight towards freedom, whether it is for other people or themselves. And I think that's really cool. I just made that connection with the root. So that's really cool. And Saturn just moved into Aries. So
Yeah.
Yes.
really interesting. And
That's some
Saturn,
Aries energy if I have seen any.
yeah. So that's really cool.
Like when you all hear this, Saturn did not just move into Aries, but when we're recording it.
Yeah, sorry.
To be clear.
Again, time and space doesn't matter here. Just wanted to like not confuse anybody.
If there's water in it, will be in Cancer, so you're all good.
Yeah.
Yes. I love it. So perfect.
Boundaries, Cancer and boundaries and nurturing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So cool.
And I feel like Cancer is also very fiery in its own way.
Mm-hmm.
They're very protective and
I
like,
do not want to fuck with a Cancer.
no.
They scare the shit out of me.
Yeah, they have
I mean, I
like
love them. I mean, I'm a Taurus, so I love Cancer, yes, all the time. But like, also, I think like the two of us are the signs where you're like, they're so nice until they're not. Like, I know this power. I'm not fucking with it.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, this was really awesome. Like, I know I say this, like, we all say this every time, like, that was so fun, but this was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I needed this, honestly. I needed this.
Mm-hmm.
If no one listened, at least we got
Right.
something.
I often feel like that. Like, I'm like, I hope that people are listening and that they enjoy it and they take something from it. But if nobody did, I would still be happy that we're doing this. Like, it just is so healing. It's such a good time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everyone.
So much. This episode was brought to you by Fuck Around Find Out. And
Fuck around and find out witchcraft.
Always tea.
And tea.
And the vocoder, I was in a cult.
oh,
so great. You all so much.
okay.
Next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.